Okay, folks, this is Tony Aguilar, and I'm going to do an unboxing here from something that I've been waiting for several weeks that came from across the pond. And as you can see, it's not in great shape. So hopefully the contents inside are all right. We'll take a look at inside what there is. This is like a make your own box. And hopefully this stuff is okay. So we've got a Plastic Soldier Company Valentine infantry tank set, Plastic Soldier Company Honey Stuart set, and this one's been flattened. The Humber armored car set, and those are no parts that are coming out. So, you know, this is from Tabletop Workshop Miniatures, that in the UK, in Kent. So let's get rid of that. Let's do the Humber armored car first, because we'll see if something's damaged in here. No instructions. Now they're printing their instructions on the back. We'll see what's wrong with these instructions. I really like Plastic Soldier Company, but they need some quality control on the instructions, you know, sometimes. So it looks like it's 3 sprues. A couple different commanders. That's kind of cool. This guy's new. I have him in. I have this particular commander and other things. And you can make these Mark IIs or Mark IVs according to the packaging. 2 of these for sure are going to be for the 11th Hussars, and they're going to be Mark IIs. I don't know what I'm going to do with a third one. We'll be putting those together pretty soon. Ah, yes, the honeys. The honeys, the honeys, the honeys. Let's take a look at what's inside. The instructions on the back? No, there's paint scheme on the back. So this is interesting, that this is the counter scheme that they recommend. They recommend dark sand, which I guess would be probably the equivalent of the light stone one. Light sea gray instead of the greenish color. I may actually paint one of them in this using these colors just to see how it turns out. Maybe not. Okay, and this is actually one that has a ton of extra pieces in it. So you could actually build an M3 early production, M3A1 mid-production, and M3A1 late production. So this is for North Africa. This is where they showed up. This is the honey version. And I can tell already that it's got the wrong hull in there, because that has the sponson machine guns that the British did not use. Those were used only in the beginning part of the Pacific War. So that's already wrong in the instructions here. So, but you get 3 of them in here, lots of extra suspension pieces. And I think if you just find a way to remake this, you can make another 3 honeys. You can make other honeys that are included in here. We'll take a look at that, because I hate all this waste, you know. So, and we don't throw it away. It just ends up getting put in the drawer, and you know, I've got one drawer that's completely full of extra Plastic Soldier Company things. Okay, and the one that I don't know anything about, is the Valentine. Paint scheme for the Valentine. You could make a Mark II, Mark III, or a Mark IX. Contains British and Soviet tank commander figures. These are not going to the Eastern Front. The Soviets will have to fend for themselves. All right. Look at the instructions here. Oh, these are actually more complete than anything else. It's got a parts list. Knife away rivets to assemble spare track. Interesting. Valentine 2, the 3, and the 9. And again, this might actually be one where, with some creative stuff, you could probably make another. If somehow you can remake this thing out of card or something like this. Oh, I know somebody will like this a lot. It's got a lot of detail on the underside. You know who you are. Somebody likes to paint the underside of these things. I couldn't care less. And 2 of these will probably be for the Operation Crusader ones. And let's see what kind of a Soviet figure. Oh yeah, we got this angry Soviet figure it's got his fists clenched up like, he's getting ready to be sent to the gulag. Here's that British guy that I hadn't seen before as well. Nice detail. I'm a big fan, for all their faults. I'm a fan of Plastic Soldier Company. Their stuff is very durable. So that's what we got. Doesn't look like anything got damaged. Good thing I don't collect boxes, because those boxes are trash. Anyhow, that's it. Tool Layout version 1. 4/12/2017. I wonder if that's when this came out. Anyhow, so this is what we got in from across the pond. More reinforcements for the 8th Army. And we'll have fun putting these together, and hopefully we can use the spare parts so we don't get overwhelmed by them. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more unboxing videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Okay, folks. So we're going to do something a little bit different. I was planning at the end of the unboxing video, what I've done a couple times is just kind of show you the end result of what some of these vehicles look like, so you get an idea of what they do look like, completed. And that was what my intention was. And I hate to say it, but I encountered so many issues with these three kits. And this isn't to knock Plastic Soldier Company, but I've done probably 8 or 9 different sets of theirs, never encountered any of these issues with Plastic Soldier Company. So I don't know if it's these particular kits, or I just figured I wanted to make sure I brought it to your attention. Now, with that said, I would still buy from Plastic Soldier Company again, okay? I like their stuff. They're pretty good value. They go together, for the most part, pretty well. But I'm going to get into these 3 individual kits, and I'll show you the stuff, the stumbling blocks that I think that could be an issue for somebody who's maybe not an experienced modeler. And anyway, so we'll get on with it. I'm going to do the one that's had the least amount of issues, and then we'll work our way into the one that had the most amount of issues, what the issues are, and how I solved them. The important thing is I did come up with a solution, but I've been working on these kits for, I don't know, about a week off and on, and I left some of the sprues specifically unbuilt so I could show you some of the stuff close up. So hopefully this is helpful to you. So we're going to look at the Valentine infantry tank set. Okay, and, I really didn't go over the side of this stuff. There's nothing that exciting. The paint scheme is on the back. This one does have an instruction sheet, which is becoming rarer and rarer. I'm not sure why, but this is actually a very nice instruction sheet that shows you the breakdown of what all the pieces are and the assembly of most of them. Now, they leave a lot of things off, and so sometimes you've got to consult the internet and stuff like that. But so let's get on with this. So you can apparently build 3 different versions of the Valentine tank: the Mark II, the Mark III, and the Mark IX. So this is a 2-pounder. This is a 2-pounder turret, 2-man turret. This one is a 2-pounder, give them a little bit more space. Also the same main armament, but a 3-man turret. And then this one is a 6-pounder gun, and it was so cramped in there they didn't have a coaxial machine gun. and it went back to having a 2-man turret. So this is the 3 versions you can make. Now, first of all, the instructions are wrong. The instructions are wrong here. The way they normally do things, the blue parts go on the blue tank, the green ones go on the green tank, the red ones are for the red tank, and ones that are common to all of them would be like this one. Like this is a piece, it's a blue piece, but it's also useful in the green, also useful in the red. This is a really good way of doing this, if it's correct. However, it is not, in my opinion. So if you look, let's take a look at the sprue. The 2 hulls are identical from the top view, or they appear to be identical. The only difference is you have sand skirts on this one, and you have no sand skirts on this one. Other than that, they're exactly the same. Okay? I mean, the profile is a little bit, or the top view is a little bit different. These are kind of squared off because of the sand skirts. And these are squared off, and these are a little bit more rounded. Okay? Now, I do understand that these are Wargamer specific models, but even with that said, the instructions should be correct, so you're not pulling your hair out or make them wrong or what have you. So, in here, it recommends you use this one, which is the one that has the turrets, which has no sand skirts. So the problem I have with that is you'll be hard-pressed to find a model of Valentine Mark II that doesn't have sand skirts. Now, if it's in training in England, okay, I get it. But every picture, I'm doing stuff for Operation Crusader, and the Mark IIs were used from middle of 1941, very few of them, through Operation Crusader, all the way back in even in Tunisia. They use these models. And you'll be hard-pressed to find a Mark II picture evidence that doesn't have side skirts. So I don't understand why they suggested the one without side skirts to be the Mark II, but okay, whatever. And same thing with the Mark III. The Mark III, well, here it's shown with the side skirts, and I agree, it should be that side skirt version. Okay? And then the Mark IX, I agree, that one should have, if one should not have the side skirts, it would be the Mark IX. Okay, and there's some in Tunisia that have the sand skirts as well. Okay, so really you could use either one of these 2 for this. There's lots of photographic evidence. If you're making one of these 2, you're better off using the one that has the sand skirts on it as well, which by the way is this one here. Okay, so sand skirts, these 2, this one, either one, but useful for that. Now, if you're going to use it for Russia, probably not going to have the sand skirts on them. You know, so that's another thing. If you want to send these to the Russian front, yeah, don't put any side skirts on them. So that was kind of an issue I ran into on them. The other thing, and this is of the 3 kits, this is the best one that had the least amount of issues. If you look at the top of the turret, some of these come with an option to make the hatches of the commander open. So like for instance, this is the one for the Mark III. It is a really interesting 3-piece hatch that kind of folds all over itself. It kind of opens itself up like a three-legged clam. No, it's just, you know, that's it right there and closed up. It's just one piece. So no issues there. When you get to the Mark II, it is a 2-piece hatch, and if you want to make it open, you just have to cut through the middle. No biggie. It's delineated very easily there where you need to cut. However, when you go to install it, it is not clear which side goes forward, because even though this is a war game model, there is nothing on any of the photographic evidence that shows, there's like 2 little rivets there, and there's something that looks like a handle here. It's flat or whatever. Let's see if we can get it a little closer. There's nothing in photographic evidence that reflects that. So what I had to do was, it's kind of hard to tell, but one section is actually bigger than the other. This one that's larger, and then one's a little smaller, so the larger one actually opens towards the front. So when you're sitting behind it, it gives you a little bit more protection. Here's the Here is the Mark II complete. Okay, with the open hatch. It's actually like it's trapezoid shaped, so it'll work the other way. You can put it in the wrong way. Not a big deal, but the big side goes towards the front. After looking at a lot of photographic evidence and didn't find anything. It's got one Russian figure and 2 British figures, or 2 Commonwealth figures that's included with it. The running gear. There's basically 2 different kind of running gears. There's the early pattern and the later pattern. Let me show you on the sprue that's not connected to anything. This is the early pattern one, which has like these spokes. Now, the actual pictures of the Valentines don't show the wheels that have spokes on them. They kind of have like these oblong holes in them. The other one is solid completely. So if you're going to make one that looks the most like it, yeah, definitely use these. But just keep in mind that they don't really look that way. Okay? And then these are just completely solid. They don't have any holes in them. They almost look like Tupperware or something like that. But this really should be the running gear for these 2 vehicles. And then the later one, some of these Mark IIIs used the later running gear, but really at the early one, if you want to represent that one that has the oblong holes, I would go with this one. Even though it's not 100% accurate, I don't care about that. I'm actually fine with it. I'm more concerned that it's like, people not being able to figure out how things get put together. Okay. What else? Gas cans is shown this just for the Mark III, but really you can use them on the Mark II as well. There's plenty of photos of these auxiliary tanks on there. What else? That's pretty much it. It's not bad. It goes together really well. Yeah, this is what it looks like with the turret closed. And here's a Mark III turret. It opens 3 ways. And here it is closed up. And the Mark IX looks really interesting. If you look at pictures, they have one that is driving around at Bovington. These 2 hatches kind of sit one on top of another one. It's like they have to come to a gentleman's agreement who's going to open their hatch first in the middle, because it's literally one hatch next to the other. So if they're both open, they don't really sit up like this. These are shown. It's really one on top of each other. But because of the close proximity, I couldn't do that. I'm fine with it being this way. I don't have a problem with that. I just figured I'd mention that to you guys. Okay. So all in all, pretty good kit. Just want to make people aware of the hatch that's not really shown which way it goes on the instructions. But other than that, it goes together pretty well. Okay, the next one up is the British Humber armored car. And this claims you can make 3 vehicles in here. You can. And they can either be Mark IIs or Mark IVs, according to the instructions. And here's the instructions printed on the back of the box. So normally this would be just fine, the instructions on the back of the box. And it's one sprue. I really like that. You don't have to worry about which sprue is it on. No, everything's there. There's lots of stuff to like on here. You got 1-piece wheels, so you don't have to worry about putting 2 halves together. Wonderful. The axles are really durable. Goes together really well. Really goes together well. You've got this, show you a picture of one built. You've got this bottom piece of the hull and the 2 sides and the top, and it fits together really, really well. And these guys do something that I've never seen anybody else do. Look at the wheel wells here on this Humber. They're solid on this side. And this piece that matches up to it is also solid. So you know exactly what angle this needs to be at. You're not like trying to balance it to make sure it's lined up and you don't have exactly the right degree and it doesn't go together. It really goes together really well. These 4 pieces. Okay? Now the bad stuff. These instructions. We're good here, we're good here, we're good here, we're good here. I was going crazy looking for where this piece was. That's the bumper. The bumper piece on the front of this. See if we can zoom in on that a little bit. Because this is shown at this angle, this looks like it is a straight bumper. And it wasn't until I ignored it and kept building on that I realized, oh, it's this piece shown at an extremely oblique angle. So that was driving me crazy because you can't put there's these 2 little pieces on the side here, on the front here, that there's no way you can locate where in the heck they are without this piece here to kind of guide you. Now, that's the one thing about Plastic Soldier Company is their vehicles are very, very durable. There's nobody that has, that I've seen, that has axles that are as solid as these. You know, they're really durable. However, one of the problems they have is lots of times they don't have little locators. They don't have a little line or a pin or something. They just show like, hey, this goes over here, and you got to look at photographic evidence for it to go together. Now, once I found that piece, everything else fit in place really, really well. It was just that one piece was, I mean, I literally spent a long time. You've got these little like protectors here, okay? The protectors of like the hinges, so you don't get dinged up with a rock. And they don't sit up against it. They're not supposed to. They don't sit up. I don't know if I can get that in there, but they don't sit flush up against that axle. So the fact that it has a notch for the axle, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. That's 8 inches above where it is. And what's really crazy is this piece has a notch up here, but it doesn't line up with anything else. I don't know why they just decided to design it that way, but they did. And yeah, it doesn't have the front tire on it or anything. I'm going to put some of those details on at the end. But other than that, and going a little crazy trying to figure out where these pieces go, really no issue. Now, one of the things I realized, I could probably make a Mark III out of this as well. And a Mark III this is the Mark II turret, which is a 2-man turret. A Mark III had the same turret from the Mark IV with the same armament of the Mark II. Okay? So the Mark IV has a 37mm cannon. The same cannon that's in the Stuart. Okay? And a coaxial machine gun as well. The Mark II has a 15mm heavy machine gun, autocannon, whatever you want to call it, 15mm Beza. So the 3 actually had this improved turret, which added another crew member, and at least added another crew member on the Mark III. And you could probably put this armament in here. I think it would. You might have to trim it up a little bit, but I think it fits in there fine. However, to make a true Mark III, this side's the same, but if you flip over here, this box really should be moved over to this side. And the tire, the spare tire, which would normally be at the front, would go on the side here. However, it doesn't fit. If you look at the dimensions here, there's no space for a box, even if it's a smaller box on this, and I think it is supposed to be a smaller box. There's no space for that to fit in the wheel well and leave any room for a box. So somehow the dimensions of this vehicle are scrunched up a little bit. Probably not a huge deal. You could probably just remove this box, put a tire there, and not put a replacement box there for it on that side. The instructions don't tell you to do that. I'm just looking at photographic evidence. But you could probably get away with that. I'm probably just going to make all 3 of them Mark IIs. I was going to make 2 of them Mark IIs anyways for my Operation Crusader project. Now I'm just going to make all 3. So other than the clarity of that, you know, and there's stuff like it. There's another box that goes on the opposite side, and it's not shown here. Like they could have just shown there and pointed towards it. Just little things like that you can kind of figure out on your own. But it was really this. It was this piece that's not being shown in a profile that was really confusing. And I mean, I looked at all the drawings everywhere, couldn't figure out what it was. Not until I built everything on there except, you know, because I want to build it in the order that tells me. Well, I'm on step 2. I don't want to go and build step 4, 5, and 6 if I haven't done step 2. Eventually I just said, well, I got to move on and see what it is. Now, want to know what's really weird? The other reason I couldn't figure a couple things out, you notice I haven't put antennas on here yet. It didn't tell me to put any. And as a matter of fact, here they are on the sprue, but they're not on the blow up of the sprue. Like, those 2 antennas are completely eliminated. You see there? Here they are on the sprue. Here's the cannon, not there. So, I don't know whether this went out to print before this sprue was completed or something, but little things like that can be kind of confusing for somebody who's not expecting there to be a problem. I got an internet friend of mine that told me that he had a problem putting this thing together, so I was aware of there was going to be, I was walking carefully, and, we got it through, and it's a nice model. It's a nice model, and it should be pretty durable for a really cool vehicle. Okay, we're leaving the worst for last, or the best for last, or either way, the honey. I was going to order 4 packs of these, and I'm glad I didn't, because I might have been tempted to build them all at once. And if you encounter something, it's better to build them one at a time, so that the next builds that you do are easier than the first one. Okay? So, M3 Stuart honey tank. 3 of them come in here. You can build them as M3s or M3A1s. You actually build them as the honeys, which are the very first one, M3A1 earlies or M3A1 lates. The back of the box there. That's what it looks like. That's what you get. And it does have an instruction sheet. Pretty nice, pretty clear. If only it was correct. So, I knew from looking at pictures online that this was incorrect. Okay? If you look at this, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Okay. This is what your honey should look like. And I know for a fact that the honey did not have these sponson machine guns. The British never got those. Those were used by this version, or even the M2A4s, or earlier in the Philippines. So I knew that was an issue coming up. Okay, so I was prepared to have to modify that. So that really didn't come as a surprise. What did come as a surprise is that wasn't the only thing that was wrong about this. So once I found out that there was issues with the instructions, I started questioning everything. So this hole, and I didn't put them all together. They build up really nice. Okay, they build up really, really nice, and they're super durable. But these have fit and finish problems. The other 2 kits did not have finish problems. The Valentine and the Humber went together well. These did not. Okay, and I'll go into what exactly we had to do to make them work. But it's a nice model when you're done with it. However, it took a long time to put it together, because you got to sand things down and stuff like that. First of all, quite a bit of flash, quite a bit of overpour in a couple places. And overpour meaning, let's see if we can get in a little bit. And this happened on all the models. See how there's like extra flash coming around on the sides? There's extra flash here on the ends. Trim that down so when the piece fits across so the turret fits in there, the turret roof, and you have it fit flush. Okay, no big deal, but it takes time. I don't know why. Well, I call it overpour. It's almost like there's too much plastic in that mold, and it had to go somewhere, so it went out. So here's the sprue. Here's this top sprue. Here's the bottom sprue. Okay. Well, we know the sand skirts are on this one, so that's correct. You want to use the bottoms for this one, and then the other 2 for these. So we're good there. And we know that when you're putting these sponsons, you're going to want to use the ones that have these machine guns blocked out. Okay, so you want to use these sponsons. They're in blue, but they really should be for green. And the red are fine as the red one, but this one should be the blue one, because if any of these has a sponson machine guns, it's going to be this version. You're going to use this for like this Philippines, maybe Guadalcanal, something like that. And then this is more like if you're going to go into North Africa and Operation Torch kind of thing. Okay? So these machine guns also shouldn't be green. They should be blue. Okay? Because they go with the sponsons that this one would go in. The sponson little machine guns. A little side. Which, by the way, were remote fired by the driver. I didn't know that. And they couldn't aim them at all. They were kind of an automatic. You know, so. Nothing else really, I don't think anything else here is an issue. Now, the top here, the hulls, what's the difference between these two hulls? Well, here's the side skirts. Here's the one with the sand skirts on there. They fit on this one. And yet, this green one should be this one according to the instructions, and it's not. This one should be blue and red, and this one should be green. So it's like those should be reversed. The other thing is, and I don't know if I can show this to you right now. Actually, I can. Take a look at this picture. And I don't know if I can do this correctly on the video, but we'll give it a shot. This picture that I'm showing you does not allow the side of the tracks to fit flush with the hull. It doesn't allow it to fit. They don't fit flush. You have to remove some of the extra plastic, which was relatively easy to do once I knew that was what had to be done. And I'll show you a shot here live what I'm talking about. Let's do a little zoom here. Let me find it first. Okay, this is the piece that goes on the sand skirts. See how there is this little bit of flash here, or this thickness here? This needs to be, you pretty much have to eliminate this so it will fit flush. Otherwise, you're going to have a gap there, a rather large gap. Maybe I don't know, a millimeter or two. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it doesn't keep you from being able to fit in there straight. And it's basically this thickness. Now, Plastic Soldier Company is great for cutting things like that off because their plastic gets can trim up really easily. But you're not expecting that when you're doing this. You have a tank that doesn't fit flush. Another thing that's weird, since I was questioning everything, there's these two fronts. The front of the turret. Here's these two pieces here. And here they are the instructions. And it says, use this one for the green, and use this one for the other two. I'll be damned if they're not exactly the same piece. I couldn't find a single thing different on them. They're exactly the same on the front. They're exactly the same on the back. I don't see any difference on them at all. But when I built it, I built the one that was on the inside. But it's had some flash. I don't know if this one has it. Yeah, it's got some flash around the edge. It just took a long time to kind of deal with that. One of the pieces that goes on the very back of this one, it's this green piece here. Let's see if I could find it. I'm going to zoom in here. And this was an annoying flash thing. See if I can show you. It's got rivets on the side. Right here. And there's flash connecting all the rivets on the side of this piece. So that means you got to clean all that up. Man, that is painstaking too. See how it's on the side here? It looks like it's all like a ribbon connecting them all. That's flash that needs to be removed. That should be removed. You could just say, F it, it's not important to me, right? On the Honey, which is the only one we built, it's the only one I planned on building. That's what we got them for. We got them for Honeys. If you look at the Vision cupola here, this part faces down. So if you flip it over like this is the top and the hatch fits on there. You can see that they've got these Vision devices right there with like two rivets beside them. there's also flash all the way on every one of these sides of that. It was literally a pain in the ass to clean that thing off. So what I ended up doing, since I knew that the rivet pattern actually didn't match, because instead of having one rivet on either side, it was actually a set of two, I just took the rivets off. And I may paint them on or something like that, because trying to clean that flash off and not knock out that rivet at the same time is just, you know, it already took me like 2.5 hours to put one of these together. You know, but we want them to fit together really well. So, other than the instructions being wrong, and those fit and finish issues, and the flash issues, they're great. You know, they go together pretty well. You know, and all three of them are going to be, we're going to make one with open with a commander's hatch. But yeah, I just cut these things flat. And I'll probably paint little rivets there or something, if I feel like it or not. They are war game models. And like I said, I don't necessarily care that they're inaccurate with the rivet pattern. I just care that they're inaccurate with the rivet pattern, and I'm spending an hour cleaning one of them up. And still not doing a great job on it, because there's a lot of pitfalls on it. So, with that said, would I buy these models again? Absolutely. But I just expect better out of Plastic Soldier Company. I've built 4 or 5 of their different kits and never encountered any of these issues. Never issues with flash or things not fitting together. I mean, ultimately, it's a pretty easy fix. You just have to cut that piece off, slice it off. I just took it with an X-Acto knife. I guess you could use wet, dry sandpaper. But it's funny because when you fit that piece on, it actually fits flush on the back. It fits great on the back. It's just up here, you've got this, it's like off to the side. So I just had to eliminate that and glue it together, and then it was fine. You know, and their barrels are really durable. I mean, this Beza machine gun is really, really thick. But what's nice is then you can drill it out and you don't have to worry about it. So I don't really necessarily care about their robustness. You know, they're good models. But I just figured I'd make this video and just show you guys what you're getting yourself into, so that you're not disappointed when you end up getting these and they're more of a pain than you expect them to be. Now, the second time I built one of these, it was a lot quicker, okay? But the first outing with them, you know, it did take quite a bit of time. So anyhow, it's not me ripping on them. It's just I expected better out of them. In the past, they've been, you know, they do a lot of things right. But, yeah, their instructions definitely are... the guy that's making the instructions is definitely not on the same page sometimes with the one that's building the molds. But, all right, well, hopefully you found this useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this is the kind of thing that you like to see. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.